North, while Trevor Lawrence has gotten off to a rough start with Jacksonville, but that's no surprise to Dan Orlovsky.
There's one thing that I think Joe Burrow does better, and I think he does it better than any quarterback, young quarterback in the NFL right now, and I think it's the hardest thing to teach. He doesn't panic with the football. I love Trevor Lawrence. Give me Joe Burrow.
I'm thinking about Trevor Lawrence. This brother can fling that football. He's got some wheels on him. He's 6'6", not 6'3". Listen to folks talk about Trevor Lawrence and what they said about him coming out of college.
The situation.
And I'm just like, yeah, wait a minute now. I can't do that. I can't give Burrow over Lawrence.
Okay, Stephen A., who has more upside, Burrow or Lawrence?
To me, it's Lawrence. And I'm not taking anything away from Joe Burrow because he can ball. Mm-hmm. I saw this brother throw 3 interceptions against Chicago. So Dan talking about how, he doesn't panic and he doesn't panic with the football or whatever. Well, that Sunday afternoon, I wouldn't say that didn't happen. I'm sorry. That's just not how I feel. I'm sorry.
We weren't talking about that Sunday.
Listen, damn it. He said it.
Of panic.
Dan Orlovsky said it going into that Sunday, and the brother went out through 3 interceptions in the game.
What did he do last week?
That's neither here. But that doesn't take anything away. I know how gifted Joe Burrow is. It's just that I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence, just some of the logistics, man. 6'6", with that arm, mobile, can move without the football. He's smart. He can make every throw. Some of these dimes he's throwing out there, I don't see Joe Burrow being able to do anything that Trevor Lawrence can't do. The problem with Trevor Lawrence right now, in my opinion, is he doesn't have a team. He's got a rookie head coach on the pro level, okay? Then they don't have that much talent, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And so his mentality is, I want to go out there and be a hero. I'm going to take chances, and I'm going to be about making plays. So we understand that he's not going to look what's so great this year. It's going to be a rough initiation into the National Football League. But what I see from Trevor Lawrence, you put some talent around that brother. And I'm telling you right now, I truly believe he's going to be one of the great ones. It's not to say that Joe Burrow won't be, because I respect the hell out of Joe Burrow. But I think that Trevor Lawrence is as advertised, and I think he will show us.
Yeah, both these guys are great players. I mean, I would argue that there is some talent around Trevor Lawrence. I mean, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, Robinson, those are good skill position guys. The question really is, who's got a brighter future, the Bengals or the Jags? Because if we've learned anything, and if I've hopefully brought the fans into anything over my time at ESPN, is that quarterbacking is a dependent position. And you bring up the Jaguars kind of organizationally. There's still question marks. There's still a ton of unproven aspects. The Cincinnati Bengals win tonight. They're 3-1. The Cincinnati Bengals are 3-1. And my mind goes back to Joe Burrow taking that hit in the knee last year against the Washington football team. And almost that cringeworthy, oh my gosh, is that everything? Because that knee injury was brutal. And if you had told everybody, their head coach Zach Taylor and their offensive coordinator Brian Callen, hey man, you guys are going to be playing on Thursday night with the chance to go 3-1, you're going to take that. And a big reason why is because number 9. Stephen A., you pointed out those interceptions against Chicago, and they're valid. Those weren't moments of panic. He just didn't see a linebacker one time. One time he got hit, ball got popped up in the air. And I look how he responded the following week against the Steelers defense. That was without starters on their defensive line, no question asked.
Right.
But Joe Burrow was dominant. I mean, he was absolutely dominant with the football. And so the brighter future, if you asked me who I think is more talented, just in a box, we're doing measurables. Trevor Lawrence is a more talented player. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, more powerful arm, more electric release. But if you're asking me who I think has got the immeasurables, the things that we can't necessarily chart when it comes to the quarterback spot, the vision, again, the ability to not poise with the football, panic with the football, the instincts, I think Joe Burrow's got that.
Are you saying Trevor Lawrence doesn't have that?
I think Joe Burrow's got more. I think Stephen A., I'm just telling you, listen, I was 2 seasons ago in college football. Trevor Lawrence was playing as good as anybody when Joe Burrow was leading LSU. Trevor Lawrence was balling out, playing unbelievable. And I said, Trevor Lawrence is playing just as good as Joe Burrow. And I felt that way. And then I was on the field for the national title game. And I walked away.
Dan,
I'm telling Stephen A.,
Dan.
This kid is different.
Come on, Dan. Listen, Clemson defense.
Wired different.
Clemson's defense was not what LSU's defense was that year.
I'm
That's
not debating
number 1.
that.
And remember that cat for Clemson got ejected from the game on that boat. Oh, yeah. I mean, 2 years in a row, this guy got ejected for
I'm
crying
not
out
debating
loud.
that.
And I
What
don't
I'm
even
saying
believe he
is,
deserved it.
What I'm saying is when you just, I've stood and watched all them, both of them. I think they're going to be great.
Yeah.
But watching Joe Burrow, you just get this feeling that you're watching the next Steve Young. You just get this feeling you're watching the next guy that has those immeasurables, the ability to gravitate his teammates towards him.
Hold on. I think Steve Young is phenomenal. Yeah. Steve Young is phenomenal. He's a Hall of Famer. Has he ever been in the conversation as the greatest ever?
No.
What I'm saying to you is that as great as Steve Young is, there were those, a few, just a few, that were considered better.
Yeah.
It is plausible that Joe Burrow is everything that Dan Orlovsky says, and Trevor Lawrence might be better.
I don't know how you guys have not mentioned the fact that the Jags have lost 18 straight.
Yes.
We're just going to gloss over
Molly,
that?
Yeah, because we don't.
1-15 last season, 0-3 this year.
That's what he's dealing with.
I mean, come on.
I'm somewhat sensitive to talking about teams that go on long losing streaks, so I try not to bring it up too much.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I support those teams. I just want you to know that.
Who's got the brighter future?
I ride with them.
I mean, the Bengals got a chance to be 3-1 tonight. I did not think that was going to be a reality once I saw that knee injury last year.
They probably will be. They're favored by 7.5. We'll talk to Tim Tebow about his former coach tomorrow's show.
Yeah,
so that'll be good. It's good the Jags are on tonight, and then we have Tim tomorrow.
Whatever.
Still ahead on First Take. Surprise, surprise. Can I ever win on the show? Which team would Dan say has exceeded all expectations through the first 3 weeks? Not who you expect. Keep it locked.
Westbrook speaking about the Los Angeles Lakers. That means the NBA season is in full. And on top of it all, we got Dan Orlovsky, the latest victim, showing up on First Take. I don't know if he's going to emphasize whatever word it's going to be. It could be egregious. It could be nutritious. It could be anything. We just never know with Dan Orlovsky. We just never know with him. But he showed up. I'll give him credit for it. And all I want to say is this. You need to put on your glasses. You already look old and
That's an ambiguous start,
now.
Stephen A. That is an ambiguous start.
Whatever. Ambiguous start? Ambiguous.
It's an
First
ambiguous start.
There ain't nothing ambiguous about that. We here. Let's go.
I know, which way the wind blows. I know that home tunnel. I know what the fans are going to sound like. I'm not going to be thinking about 20 years of history.
And the Patriots are Super Bowl champions. The dynasty not done yet.
We've played it other times, without Tom.
When you get yourself in a situation like this, you got to take advantage of it.
Bucs win the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, you are the man. You are the GOAT.
I'm not going to necessarily reminisce. I'll have plenty of opportunities to reminisce about my football career.
If they know anything about me, they're going to know that I'm going out there to try to win the football game.
Good day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. It is Friday Eve. Dan Orlovsky gracing your screen. Stephen A. Smith. I'm Molly Karam Rose. Gentlemen, let's go. We've had this one circled on our calendars for months. Tom Brady's return to Foxborough, which had been his home for 20 years. Don't forget Gronk's homecoming as well. But this time, they will run through the tunnel at Gillette Stadium as the opponent. Also, a reunion of Brady and Belichick, but not on the same team. Details have been pouring out about this relationship leading up to this weekend. No coach-quarterback duo was more successful. They won 219 games, 30 games in the postseason, 6 Super Bowls, far ahead of the next closest duo in that Super Bowl era. Dan, tell me this. Do you have an issue with how Brady-Belichick's relationship ended?
Absolutely not. I'm surprised by people who are so shocked by this. Greatness is not comfortable. They're the two of the greatest to ever do it. Quarterback-wise, Tom's the greatest. Coach-wise, Bill's the greatest. So there's so much discomfort that goes on over 20 years. I kind of admire it more. I appreciate it more now that they were able to go accomplish what they did. These are two of the most intense, maniacal preparation-wise, egotistical guys that have ever come through the NFL. And they were still able to put all those differences and seeing things differently and maybe not agreeing on everything to the side and to go accomplish the goal not only for them, but for their organization, for their team. And as much as I've appreciated them going to accomplish that, now kind of seeing some of the stories that have come out, and maybe there was some discomfort or bad blood there, I admired even more because they never let it get in the way. They never let that go and deter them from going to win 6 Super Bowls. And as Louis Riddick pointed out this morning, they're a couple plays from winning 9. And so I can appreciate it. And the reality is that this is a high pressure, high intense job, both coach and quarterback. And for those guys to get through what they got through over 20 years, and I'm disappointed, I guess, that it's going to sour some people's opinions of what has happened, but it makes me appreciate what they accomplished even more.
I got to admit, Dan, I'm kind of disappointed in your take, in all seriousness. I really am, because I think that, you don't just know your football, you know it so well, you're a teacher. And I think that this could be a teachable moment for a lot of people. Yes, Tom Brady was 219 and 64 as a starting quarterback for the New England Patriots in his years there. Yes, he won 6 Super Bowls, went to 9 Super Bowls, and obviously Bill Belichick was his coach. Without the services of Tom Brady in New England, Bill Belichick's career record as a head coach for the New England Patriots without Tom Brady is 36-30 as we speak. Mm-hmm. We understand what they did together, and we get all of that. But there's something to be said for a level of excellence that they put forth. And, Molly alluded to it yesterday in terms of how things should end. And I think blame could be thrown in the direction of both individuals. And I think that's important to highlight and illuminate. For example, if you're Bill Belichick, all things are not created equal and everybody is not the same. You wanted to treat Tom Brady like you treat any other player. Mm-hmm. This is the same Bill Belichick that once cut a dude when his family showed up for him to be in the Super Bowl. He had to end up watching the Super Bowl from the stands with his family because you cut him right before the Super Bowl. Some would say that's heartless. Malcolm Butler gets into an argument, according to excerpts from this new book coming out. And as a result of that, because of that argument that he had with the defensive coordinator, that had a role to play in why he benched him for the Super Bowl, even though he was the leader in snaps played for the defensive unit for the New England Patriots. And Tom Brady, despite putting up 33 points, ends up losing a Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles because Nick Foles drops 40 on them. That has something to do with it, okay? So we see that Bill Belichick can be relatively heartless. That's not a lesson that we want everybody to reap from this. We should be celebrating the greatness of Bill Belichick, the coach, and the executive. Unfortunately, what we're lamenting along the way as we talk about him and we probe deeper into what's transpired between him and Tom Brady, we're looking at a man and we're saying, damn, all business. Some people are accusing him of being relatively heartless. And if he doesn't find a way to win, now that Tom Brady is gone, who knows whether or not that's going to be his epitaph. Long before he passes away, this is just what people are going to say about him. On the part of Tom Brady, here's what we have to look at. We so religiously, Dan, focus on his greatness as a player as we should, because he is the GOAT. And we focus on what he has done and how the teammates want to come play with him or whatever. Did we ever take a time to be a bit introspective and think about what some of the resentment may exist involving Tom Brady? You have players, remember, he took pay cuts. He did a whole bunch of stuff. He restructured his salary.
Wait, resentment on his end?
Resentment towards Tom Brady for this. Because he did so much for the organization, they were able to use him as the standard to play hardball with numerous players that some would say they should have treated better. And so when you look at it from that perspective, even though Tom Brady is revered, and even though you recognize his greatness, and even though you appreciate all the things he accomplished and all he did, there was a lot of things that players should have never tolerated, that they had no choice but to tolerate, because the leader in the face of your franchise, Tom Brady, tolerated those things as well. And then he finally speaks up indirectly, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Now that it was his turn to suffer some of the circumstances and the consequences that he had to get exposed to with Bill Belichick. How come we don't think about that?
Well, here's my thing. When you say it's a great learning lesson, I agree. I think it's a great learning lesson for everybody to realize that we're not always going to get along and see everything the same way. But if we can kind of understand that there's significantly greater goals for us to go accomplish, you can, once you move the ego versus the ego problem. So I agree, it's a great learning lesson. And Stephen A., we can't like hold Bill Belichick to the fire when it says, well, he was real cutthroat or heartless, because he placed winning at the very top level. And no matter what and no matter who, he was going to keep winning, the most important thing. And we can't kind of like say now, well, that was a little kind of harsh, so to speak, but then somewhat praise Tom Brady for it. Tom did the same stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And what I'm saying to you, Dan, is this. It's if it were over, like let's say, for example, Tom Brady had retired. Okay, you're absolutely right. The problem is Tom Brady had more time left to succeed. And so we're looking at a guy still in the midst of his career, still at a championship level, ultimately having tired of being treated that way. And that's what makes this so compelling. We could sit back and celebrate both of them if all we have to lean on is that they won together. But when Tom Brady leaves and is still winning, ultimately you're asking yourself, Bill, damn, you had to be that way and push that brother out the door. And then you look at Tom and you say, okay, so now it's intolerable because it's you. But what about the other cats that were pushed out the door, that you facilitated Bill Belichick being able to do that because you were the standard by which players were treated, because he treated you that way so he could get away with treating anybody that way.
I know we have to move on soon, but Dan, we left off the major detail that we were discussing yesterday in terms of how this ended, and that Brady wanted a meeting and that Belichick talked to him on the phone, and how there was a little bit of disrespect there. And then at the end of the day, that Brady wanted to stay in New England. He was the one that and Belichick was the one that wanted him out.
Well, I think that, from my knowledge, Coach Belichick addressed it and said that that's not true. That, that the reality of him not meeting and only going phone call did not happen. It's he say, she say type of thing. So yes. I have no idea. If that is the case, then I would be incredibly disappointed, obviously, in the situation. It should have ended better if that is the case. We've known that Bill Belichick has wanted to move on from Tom Brady for a couple years, right? Drafting Jimmy Garoppolo, then having to trade him away. So I'm not shocked by it. But Bill Belichick, like, here's my thing with it, Molly and Stephen A. Would the Patriots have won those six Super Bowls if Bill maybe was a little bit nicer or handled Tom a little bit more differently than other people? I don't know. Because everyone got to watch the coach treat the most important person in the organization the same way as he treated the 53rd guy on the roster. That is so rare in the NFL. No,
Dan, I don't think that's the question. I think the question is, would Bill Belichick have had another ring if he kept Tom around? Because Tom's got another ring.
No, he would not have. Absolutely not. That team was not. That team in 2019 was a glimpse into the future. And they said they built it that way to win to go on that run at the end. They would not be in the Super Bowl conversation with Tom Brady. No.
All right, fair enough. Let's move it along. Bucks are going to be favored by 7 in that one. And Brady, 68 yards of passing Drew Brees for the all-time passing record. So we'll look forward to seeing that on Sunday as well. Chicago, no quarterback situation has been more scrutinized this season. Here's Marcus Spears on this subject yesterday.
I feel terrible for the Chicago Bears fans that I need to say this. But for Justin Fields and his future, if the Chicago Bears are going to keep going with Matt Nagy, Justin Fields needs to figure out a way to go play for another team with a competent coach that can put him in a position to have success. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, rookies struggle in football, but I damn sure want him to have a chance to display the things that they're good at. And Matt Nagy absolutely did not do that for Justin Fields in the first game of his career.
All right. This would be a bold request for a rookie. Dan, where are you on what Marcus just said? Should Fields push his way out and demand a trade?
I absolutely love what Marcus said. I absolutely love it. If the plan for the Chicago organization is going to be to keep Matt Nagy as their head coach, 100%. Just imagine if Sam Darnold did this 4 years ago with the New York Jets. Sam Darnold had to go through misery with his coaching staff. Imagine the success that he would have had somewhere else. If Matt Nagy is not going, and here's my confusion still on Thursday. If we took this kid, moved up, and said that that's the guy that we wanted, and we have not changed our offense to build it around him, then we're not going to. And if Matt Nagy is going to continue to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears and really the steward of Justin Fields' career moving forward, then his team, Justin Fields, should absolutely try to get out. 100%. Because if the Arizona Cardinals can move on from a player like Josh Rosen 1 year after drafting him, then a player who gets selected and realizes and the reality that this coach is not capable of giving me the best chance to go play well. Because one of the things that can ruin a young quarterback, or probably the most likely thing that can ruin a young quarterback, is doubt. And once doubt creeps in that, oh, you know what, maybe I can't play, or maybe that I'm not good enough, or do I really belong in the NFL? Once that becomes a thing, and that happens quickly, that is very difficult to jump back over. And if the Chicago Bears are going to go to Justin Fields, whether it's this week or, at the end of the season, and nothing changes, and they say we're going to continue to move forward with Matt Nagy, 100% they should figure out a way. If it's unlikely, try to get out of Chicago.
Let me tell you something. You and Swag Goo. I mean, damn. I watch NFL Live. I love the show. I know Mina is just turned against me, but that's a different subject for another day. I'll deal with it. She's been contaminated by the both of y'all. Y'all mess with her. My girl Laura Rutledge, she's still with me. I love that woman. She's still with me. But the rest of y'all, I wonder about y'all right now. But speaking specifically about you and Swag Goo, here's my question, Dan Orlovsky. Where the hell have y'all been? Because somebody sat up here on this desk, Molly, for weeks. I'm like, listen. This man has no business in the game as long as Matt Nagy is coaching. The same former offensive coordinator in Kansas City, I might add, before Eric Bieniemy got there, okay? That's what Matt Nagy was doing, okay? He was the offensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs, albeit with Alex Smith as opposed to Patrick Mahomes. But what has happened? After the first year where the offense ranked 9th, it's ranked 29th, 22nd, and now it ranks second to last, okay? Second to last offensively. They're dead last in yards. Dead last in their passing game, 26th in their rushing game. This is what guys like David Montgomery in the backfield, Damian Williams, who are two quality running backs. You got Mooney, you got Allen Robinson. You've got some weapons. So what is the issue? The issue is Matt Nagy and Dan Orlovsky and Swag Goo. And we're all bloviating about how Justin Fields needed to be there. And I said, yeah. This man, Matt Nagy, is the coach. What are y'all doing? Y'all know football. You know football better than most. Why the hell are y'all talking about putting Justin Fields there? And now that he got in there and got sacked 9 times, got slaughtered against the Cleveland Browns, now it's like, oh, my goodness. He should want to get out of there. He got to get him out of there. Oh, no. Really? That's what we doing now? Excuse me. I told y'all he shouldn't have been in to begin with. Okay? I tried to tell you. You wouldn't listen.
You want to know why that I was confident that Justin Fields should play? Because I have been around football long enough that when a coach has a similar situation and fails in that situation, and this is me referencing Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky, that you learn from that situation. And I was adamant and confident that Matt Nagy was going to go, you know what, if I get that second chance again, which I'm getting with Justin Fields, I'm going to do it completely differently. It's what Bill Belichick talks about with his Cleveland Browns to the New England Patriots situation, that he did things a lot differently. And that I was banking on this offense looking completely. So that's on me, sure, that I had so much more faith in Matt Nagy. Yeah. But also, Stephen A., I've seen Matt Nagy do this. 2018 with Mitchell Trubisky, that offense was creative, it was aggressive, it was dynamic, it was unpredictable, it was based on play action, I've seen him do it. 2018, I watched him do it. Mitchell Trubisky was 3rd in the NFL in QBR. He went to the Pro Bowl. They're a kick away from going to the NFC title game. I watched him do it. So I'm sitting here going, Coach, I've seen you do this. And now you go in all offseason. This is what we heard. All offseason. He's the guy that I wanted. This is the player that we wanted. We traded up to go get him. So I'm sitting there going, all right, I'm going to get 2018 Matt Nagy with Mitchell Trubisky again. And all of a sudden I go watch. So yeah, I was banking that Matt Nagy was going to show me he was a different coach. That's where I was wrong. So if he is going to continue to show everybody that I don't understand. Like, here's my thing. If you watched Ohio State tape, because I watched every single snap, I could tell you one thing that he did really well and one thing that he didn't do well. I could tell you that put him underneath center and go tons of play action pass. That's what right. Justin Fields is good at. They did it 0 times. And I could tell you that do not ask him to do quick game. Catch it, that's not his game. He's right. not there yet. They did it a ton.
You know
so
what?
if they're going to keep doing that, wouldn't you want out?
You going up the hill, down the hill, around the block, and all of that stuff instead of getting back to the point, which is this. Stephen A. was right all along. He told us, don't play that man. He told us maybe Nick Foles should be in there. He told us the offensive line, albeit not as awful as people were saying, still needed to be, modified to some degree. He told us you're going against the Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, going to slaughter them. 6.5 sacks.
Well,
he told us all of these things.
Right.
And here's the last point. If you're going to play Andy Dalton, what's the difference between him and Nick Foles? What's the real difference?
So, Stephen A., if it doesn't change, if Justin Fields goes out there this weekend and it's a very same thought process offense-wise, you mean to tell me that he should just sit there and his representatives and Justin and they should sit there and be like, oh, well, it just is what it is.
The season is the season. What you should be doing is encouraging the organization of the Chicago Bears to get rid of Matt Nagy. That's what you should be doing.
I agree with that. I mean, you know where I stand. I came on Monday and said that he should have been fired.
You also came on Monday and talked about how you had to modify your thinking on Dak Prescott. You were wrong. It's been a rough week for you, Dan Orlovsky.
I mean, it's a rough week. It's September 30th.
Something's got to
It's September 30th. It's nice for you to finally be right about something. It only took you almost till October,
Because they do have a good defense. Oh, my
goodness.
goodness.
The defense is big time. Who doesn't know that? The Mac Daddy is on the defense.
All right, you're feeling yourself a little too much about this one.
You got
it.
And you told me.
A dead clock is right twice a day.
You told me to put on the glasses. I put on the glasses. Then you didn't even say anything about the glasses.
Chicago will be looking for their second win of the season against Detroit on Sunday. Men. Still to come on First Take. Tomorrow is officially October. Halloween will be here. But City and San Francisco will not be paid for missed games resulting from local COVID-19 vaccine mandates that prevent them from playing. So the announcement came one day after the NBA made clear its preference to employ a vaccine mandate for its players, pointing to the Players Union as the roadblock to securing 100% vaccination for its members. This could cost unvaccinated players on the New York Knicks, Brooklyn Nets, Golden State Warriors significant salary, like Kyrie Irving and Andrew Wiggins. Now, the NBA's executive vice president of communications released this statement. Any player who elects not to comply with local vaccination mandates will not be paid for games that he misses. Jay Williams moonlighting with us after 4 hours of television. Thank you so much for sticking around with us, sir.
My pleasure.
I'll start with you here. Jay, how do you see this playing out between players in the league?
Well, I think it depends on who the players are. I think for some players, if they are adamant enough that maybe they need more time to come to a conclusion, which I find to be respectable. Look, I am vaccinated. If I'm having a conversation with somebody that is on the fence about whether they want to be vaccinated or not, and they say, hey, look, I just need some more time to see how this thing mutates, to see if the vaccination process changes in time. I may not like it, but at the end of the day, I have to respect that, right? So if they've accumulated a certain amount of wealth to a certain degree, and they didn't want to be forced or mandated to get a vaccine, if they have $70, $80 million in the bank, maybe they don't want to play. Maybe they don't want to play. I don't understand, and I think this is a moment that was a lost opportunity for the league. The league has always been extremely progressive to me in their stances on things. And to kind of say, hey, we're going to fall underneath the shield of the municipality of New York and San Francisco, there's something internally me, and I am vaccinated. I get the point of it. But when companies mandate that people have to get vaccinated to a certain degree, I think that forces people to dig their heels into the sand even more. And the people who have the wealth behind them to do so, if they feel like they are being forced, may not want to do that. And at the end of the day, if that's their decision, I have to respect that. But it's all weird to me because Kyrie can lose 52% of his salary, $18 million for the 2 games he plays against the Knicks and here in Brooklyn. But Kyrie can then go play in Golden State. Andrew Wiggins has to lose 50% of his salary, but can come here in New York and play here with no repercussions. Or Bradley Beal, who decides maybe he doesn't want to get vaccinated, Stephen A., will make his full salary in $37 million and will not lose anything.
Well, there's a lot of governing bodies involved in this.
That's my point.
Beyond
Let me respond to that.
Sure.
Get the hell over it.
I don't have to.
I'm not talking about you.
Okay.
I'm speaking in general. You know that. I got love for you.
No, we're on the same page.
I'm saying get the hell over it. Here's why. You know, money matters. I like to get paid. You like to get paid? Don't you like to get paid?
I do.
But you know something, Jay? If you live in New York, they going to take your money. You're going to get taxed at about 13%. You go to California, you're going to get taxed at about New York, 11, 12%. California, you're going to get taxed about 13%. Mm-hmm. Last time I checked in Philadelphia, it's about 3%. Delaware is 0. The state of Washington might be 0.
Nice.
The point that I'm trying to make to you, all things ain't equal. We all know that. There are advantages that come along. I was just talking to Justin Termini, and Eddie yesterday on their show on NBA radio. And then Justin Termini was pointing that out. Wait a minute, Eddie Johnson, he was like, he said, there's always discrepancies in the world of sports. Everybody don't get paid the same. You don't get taxed the same. You got to deal with it on that level. Now, here's where you and I are aligned because I side with you on this because I brought this up yesterday, I believe. I don't like the fact that Kyrie Irving could be is not allowed to play at the Barclays Center, but a visitor can. Either no one that's unvaccinated can play in the Barclays Center, or you can play in the Barclays Center. It's just that simple. That's number one. Let me get political here for a quick second to Mayor de Blasio in New York City. Okay. Just a suggestion, sir. Before you go in front of the microphone and call out Kyrie Irving for not being vaccinated, could you deal with the police officers in New York that ain't vaccinated? Because he has dominion over them. The police department answers to the mayor. How you gonna sit up there and have unvaccinated cops, but you talk about an NBA player? Mind your business. It doesn't concern you. The NBA can handle that situation. You don't need the mayor of New York or any other city for that matter talking about an NBA player when you got cops that ain't vaccinated. That's number two. Having said all of that, I stand with the NBA. If the NFL did it, I'd stand with them. This is business. This is business. And if you have the ability to affect my bottom line, okay, because of your unvaccinated status, if I got to sit up there and go through hoops because I'm worried about you potentially contaminating players or what have you, it's a concern. And they have a right to be concerned.
It's not bottom line. It's getting other people sick.
But they also have the protocols in place, though. There's rapid testing. They've been doing this before.
Evidently, they don't think it's enough.
But it is. I mean, they've been doing this. They've been doing it the whole time they were in the bubble, though, Stephen A.
They're doing it because they don't have, you know this, Jay. They're doing it because they don't have a choice, because the union won't sign off on the mandate.
Exactly.
So you guys are around it.
That's what the players feel.
But the league could do it.
Keyword,
Of course they would.
Keyword, bubble. They were in a bubble. We're no longer in a bubble anymore. It's much riskier.
I hear what you're saying, but still,
you're going home to your families. Your kids are in schools. You're going out. You're traveling. It's very different than being locked down in a bubble.
That's everyday people, though. I mean, that's for so then you're making things for everyday companies by saying
a lot of companies are requiring it.
I was double vaccinated. I still caught COVID.
Right.
I still caught it.
Right.
It lessened my.
There you go.
It lessened my features that I had with the issue. Right.
Right.
And my recovery time was faster. But if I didn't get tested, I could have brought it into work. I don't know. So what I'm saying is it's murky. Yeah. It's not as easy as just saying it's black and white.
That's another wrinkle. You're right.
Unless you're getting tested every single day, that's how you know.
Guys, no one's denying
I understand.
No one's denying it's murky. But a business has a right to address their concerns and their bottom lines. And if you don't like it, then that's a sacrifice that you have to make.
Fair.
Let's get to another billion-dollar business. That would be the Lakers. So following their first official practice together as teammates, Russell Westbrook called Anthony Davis the ultimate weapon and promised to maximize the big man's impact for the Los Angeles Lakers this season. Here's Mr. Triple-Double himself.
One of a kind. There's nobody like him that can do everything that he's able to do at his size. And my job is to make sure I continue to push him each day, each practice, these games, where he can be at the top of his game each and every night. He's been in this league a long time, so he understands how to play the game. He knows when he needs to turn up, and I know now he wants to turn it up. So it's my job to make sure that that's up every single night.
All right, starting with you. Now we're talking some basketball. Now we're talking the fun stuff. Yes, that which we all love. Who should Westbrook be pushing more? Is it Anthony Davis or is it Westbrook?
I think he can do both. I don't know why. Look, Russell Westbrook is the ultimate competitor. By the way, Russell Westbrook did call Anthony Davis the ultimate weapon, Stephen A. Right? And let's talk about what happened to AD last year. Missed 36 games due to injuries. But I want you to know something about AD. AD has a talent to be one of the best to ever do it.
Yes.
But last year, career low in rebounds, fewest blocks, field goal percentage, and free throw line percentage. 21.8 points per game marked his lowest scoring average since his second year in the league.
Yep.
So if there's a reason why you're bringing Russ over to this team, yes, because of his pace, because of his aggression in which he can play, but also because of that mentality. And now what LeBron James has in his back pocket, instead of LeBron James always having to be that cop to try to push AD, or when he's not around to get AD to see the bigger picture, now you have guys like Russell Westbrook, now you guys have like Rondo. I'm not taking any accountability away from Russell Westbrook for Russell Westbrook, because he does have accountability for that. But I like the leadership and that mentality he brings to this team.
I have no problem with it, but I think that Russell Westbrook is a plus, not a minus, and I applaud his mentality. I love his fire. Y'all know that. What I would tell you is that the focus right now has to be on Anthony Davis in this regard. Russell Westbrook talked about it, and maybe it was because it was a question thrown to him by the media, and we understand that. Anthony Davis has literally had about 50 injuries in his career. 50. Anthony Davis has missed about 155 games in his career. Where I stand is that somewhere along the line, when Russell Westbrook talks about him turning it up, Anthony Davis had to acknowledge that's something you didn't do in the past. And that's where we get to Anthony Davis. What possible excuse could you have? What did I say last year? When I was concerned about the Lakers, they were walking around town because, as you know, I do get to L.A.
Quite often
these days, okay?
We know. You're bi-coastal. You're fancy. We know.
I do get to L.A.
Everyone, Stephen A. has multiple homes. We know.
No. I'm just saying, all I'm saying, I ain't going all that. I'm just telling you I frequent L.A.
Oh,
and I love it. I mean, I play the song I Love L.A. every morning. I mean, I just do. Geez. Okay, here's the deal. You won the title. What were you doing in the offseason? You see, at moments like this, as critical as we can be of LeBron James from time to time, this is when we need to step back and pay homage to LeBron. This is why he's on the Mount Rushmore, to the Kobe's, to the MJ's, or whatever. They're the marquee. They're the headline. And there's an innate internal responsibility that they feel to answer the call. So it's not just about my ability. It's about making sure that I'm in shape. It's about making sure that I maximize my potential and that I'm ready for all comers as an individual, because everyone's looking at me. And my response to that is, how could you have a teammate like LeBron that just helped deliver you your first title ever? And I'm not insulting Anthony Davis. I'm asking a question because it's something that I would ask him to his face. If you didn't do all you could physically to have yourself in peak condition, how could you allow that to happen to you when you know you playing with a champion? You playing with a guy that the bullseye is perpetually on his back. How could you have that slippage? And so it's great that Russell Westbrook is there. Russell Westbrook's chasing the ring too now. But we've never looked at Russell Westbrook and said durability is an issue, conditioning's an issue. Only time we ever question Russell Westbrook's conditioning in his career is when the brother came down with COVID.
I agree with you. I agree with you to an extent.
Okay.
But I do want to provide you some cover on this.
Please.
The last 2 seasons have been condensed seasons, and they've been quick turnarounds.
Okay.
So for AD's body, I hear what you're saying.
Right.
Some of the things that I've heard about training and taking that seriously in the offseason, putting on that flexibility, that weight, body muscle-wise. But there is something to be said about playing the amount of games they played in those condensed times and the time they've had off in between.
You know what? And I'll throw this back at you. I know LeBron is a freak of nature.
Yeah.
But I would be pretty embarrassed if a dude that is older than me is consistently in better shape than me when we have the same profession. That would bother me.
Well, a lot of that's luck, though, Stephen A. too now.
Again, I'm not talking, injuries happen. I'm talking about conditioning. I'm talking about you roll up in and you ready. Last year, you know he wasn't. You covered the NBA. You know he wasn't ready at the start. And that's on him. And I love Anthony Davis. He's one. I think Anthony Davis has the potential to be, he is one of the all-time greats. He truly is. And he's a great player, great guy. All I'm trying to say is that you got to know when LeBron James is your teammate, that brother is likely going to need you as the season wanes because he's expecting to go deep in the playoffs. You got to be ready, man. You got to be ready. And last year, a few Lakers were not ready.
Agreed. I agree with you on
And
that.
that is inexcusable when LeBron James is your teammate, because if nothing else, physically, that brother is going to be ready.
Wasn't all-time high in injuries last season for a lot of players. That's all.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying.
Okay. I'm not talking about this last year.
No.
And LeBron talked about that too, the short offseason.
Mm-hmm.
You're 100% right. Warriors at Lakers, October 19th, this time with Klay Thompson. And obviously, Russ will be on the court. Can't wait. Lakers' second best odds to win the title behind the Brooklyn Nets. Up ahead
That's about right. That's about right.
Up ahead on First Take. Yesterday, Marcus Spears said the Bears rookie quarterback needs to demand a trade from Chicago right now. Do the fellas agree? Plus, same division, different dude. He's a bad man, but is he that bad man? Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, most talented there is. However, this season, both have underperformed to their standards. Mahomes has lost consecutive games for just the third time in his career, and Rodgers came out of the gate slow and has thrown 6 touchdowns over the last 2 games. Dan Orlovsky is here, Stephen A. Smith is here, and Damian Woody is here as well. October begins tomorrow, so it's Halloween vibes, y'all, and D. Wood scared of nobody. I'm glad what's wrong, Stephen A?
Are you looking at this?
Yeah, you're... Oh,
what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't show up to like that. This ain't no damn Islanders game. What is that? I mean, this ain't no damn
national TV.
You know, listen, it's a different day when a black man is sitting here talking about another black dude going to an Islanders game. That's who this dude is. He does that hockey. But what the hell, Dan Orlovsky, are you seeing this?
It's embarrassing. Stephen A.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. I'll let you speak. Go ahead, Dan.
You went to Boston College. That's an institution of respect. You're on national TV, and you show up wearing a sweater from TJ Maxx, man. Have some more respect for the people you're around.
Get on him, Dan.
Okay.
Get on him. That's right.
Okay, hold on.
TJ,
Okay, hold on.
disrespect Marshalls or TJ Maxx.
Okay,
Great
listen.
stores.
Let me say this real quick before we jump into it. Okay, no disrespect to TJ Maxx or Marshalls, but listen, you better check my credentials, okay, and what I did in the league. What I put on is always going to be pristine, okay? I don't
This is pristine. This is pristine. Hold on. You just showed that last week with a double breast. Hold on. I got him right now. Last week, you showed up with a fly double-breasted suit. It was so fly. I went and got a double-breasted suit, okay? And then you come and then you follow that up and you have an opportunity to let the American public know the wardrobe is tight. This is me right here. I'm a champion. I look like a champion. Hell, I can run for office, okay? This is how you were looking. And now, just a week later, you roll up looking like this on national television.
Let me get control of the show.
Go ahead, Molly. Go ahead.
First of all, as the fashionista on the show, it is fine to wear. He's wearing monochromatic navy fall sweater. He's got dark denim on, which is a little dressier, and a matching navy shoe. It's a fall casual look. It is fine, Damien. Ignore him.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Don't let me get started with your wardrobe today. Don't let me get started.
I'm very business professional.
You look great, Molly.
Go ahead.
I like this. Are you kidding?
Little casual, but that's all right.
What?
That's all right.
Oh, my God.
I'll deal with that later, Molly. I'll deal with it later.
Leather blazer.
I'll deal with it later.
Goodbye. Dan, I'm starting with you because I've lost control of everybody that's in New York City, so I need to go to Bristol. Who's the scariest quarterback in the league, in all honesty? Is it Patrick Mahomes or is it Aaron Rodgers right now?
Yeah, Pat McAfee's going to love this answer. I still say it's Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is still the best player in the NFL. And I know people are pointing out to me as well, rightfully so, the past 2 weeks and some of the decisions. The interception against Baltimore and the interception last week, very late in the game against the Chargers. That being said, I have seen Patrick Mahomes do stuff that I just cannot explain. And while Aaron Rodgers continues to make throws that defy physics, Patrick Mahomes does as well. And I'm watching Patrick Mahomes, and this is the first time for me, fellas, that there's been a little chatter of doubt around Patrick Mahomes. There's been a little criticism around Patrick Mahomes. There's a little bit of like, what's going on with him? Maybe he's not as great as people think. And I'm excited to watch a player that we all anointed, rightfully so, as the best kind of in the game right now. I'm excited to watch him come out with a little fire. I love me behind Woody right there. With a little fire, a little doubt behind him, Big Wood. With this, I still say it's Patrick Mahomes.
He's blocking the whole damn screen, but go ahead.
Pretty much I am. Am I going?
Go ahead, man.
Look, first of all, Dan, we know you're the guy when it comes to quarterbacks and evaluating these quarterbacks. But for you to sit here right now and go with Patrick Mahomes, and I know Patrick Mahomes is great. I know all of that. We've seen all the accolades. We know all the accolades of Patrick Mahomes. But you're sitting here and trying to tell me right now in this moment that Patrick Mahomes, like you would take Patrick Mahomes over the great Aaron Rodgers and the way Aaron Rodgers is playing right now? You see the turnovers that Patrick Mahomes is throwing? Yes, he's doing all the no-look and all that type of stuff. But listen, at the end of the day, Dan, tell me this, Dan. At the end of the day, okay, what's the quarterback's primary job? Number one job is to take care of the football, okay? That's what he's not doing.
He got one more turnover than Aaron.
Listen, I don't need all the flash or the no-look and all that stuff. I need a guy that's going to go out there and execute and take care of the football. And right there, who's doing the better job, Dan? Who's doing the better job of actually playing the quarterback position?
Aaron by one throw. Aaron's got two interceptions. Patrick's got 3. You're talking like Patrick is turned into, turnover Tommy or something like this, where it's just throwing the ball to the other team. He's got 3 interceptions, and 2 of them have come in crucial situations the last 2 weeks. Listen, I understand that we're arguing greatness and greatness, but still, if I'm gonna the scarier guy, I'll still stake Mahomes. And what I'll ask you, I'll respond to you with this then. While Aaron has made some jaw-dropping throws the past 2 weeks, scarier in the moment, who would you be more scared of moving, in creating? That was a big part of Aaron's game in the past. He hasn't done so as much recently. I'd still be more scared of Patrick and his scramble ability to go create than Aaron we've seen recently.
Well, Dan Orlovsky, we have to take your fears with a grain of salt, because scared of Dak Prescott and the way he's looking, scared of Matt Nagy and his play calling, and now you're scared of Patrick Mahomes and because of what he brings to the table. I mean, we have to take your fears.
You're taking shots this day today, Stephen A.
You got a lot of fears, Dan Orlovsky. You got a lot of fears, okay? That's number one. Number 2, here's the deal. Not only is he a bad man, let's take this into consideration. We looked at Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't just because of Kelsey. It was because of, obviously, Tyreek Hill. We look at that because you're a quarterback. You got to have somebody to throw the football to, right? Well, guess what has happened? Have you seen Aaron Rodgers connecting with Devontae Adams? Did you watch as everybody and their mother knew that he was going to Devontae Adams and there was nothing that you could do about it? And this is the thing that we peel away from this. Nothing to take away from the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, because it is legit. He is a champion. He's the reigning 2-time AFC champion. He's a big-time player. We all know that. But here's the flip side. I think that what we've seen over the last 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers throwing 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. After that atrocious performance on opening night. Patrick Mahomes throwing about 3 interceptions over the last 2 weeks, looking like a shell of himself compared to what we know him to be. Isn't it really about this and really this alone? As great as Patrick Mahomes was, we had him on that pedestal all by himself. And now we must accept reality that we might have been too fast with that. That Aaron Rodgers should have never been taken off that pedestal. That when we talk about Mahomes, we need to talk about Rodgers too. Because like you said, we're talking about greatness versus greatness. But in the end, maybe that's the reason they were doing those damn television commercials together, because we know how legit both of them are. It's not to take anything away from Mahomes. It's to elevate Aaron Rodgers back to his deserved and appropriate stature. That's what this is about.
Yeah, I would say that Aaron has kind of talked about this himself. There's a reason why going into last season, Aaron talked about going back and watching film from 2010 and really realizing some of the things that he was doing then to allow him to play at an incredibly high level. So he saw something in himself that he said, I want to address this. And yes, the last 20 plus games, he's played at a ridiculous level. We're arguing again, great and great. So I'm scared of both of them. Honestly, I'm scared of both of them if I'm the defense.
Yeah.
For me, Wood, it's one or the other. I'll tell you this.
What you gonna fear next?
I'm not scared of coming on Thursday and busting your head. I'm not scared of coming on Thursday and busting your head. I'll say this though.
What? Watch your mouth.
I'm not scared on Thursday and coming and busting your head.
I'm gonna say this too, Molly.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm giving Stephen A. permission to give Aaron Rodgers some praise.
Okay.
I'm giving him permission because any other he know I will check him. If Aaron Rodgers steps out line, I will check you.
You ain't in a position to check anybody.
See, me,
what you need to do is check
I don't have
into a clothing store and get a
Let me ask you this.
Let me tell you something. You can't do anything because you got the suit jacket on all that. See,
let me ask you this.
I'm comfortable.
Let me ask you this. If you had to take away, are we rapping? We commercialing.
Man! I don't know where the hell they got that music from, but it is funny.
It's hilarious.
I mean, listen, all I know is this. Every time he comes here and gets his butt whipped, the afro keeps growing more and more out of control.
Would you leave that man
His hair game is getting crazy.
You don't understand.
You did grow up with women. You did, because you notice everything. If you grew up with like 8 brothers, you would never be
I noticed things I haven't even said yet. Don't mess with me, Molly. Because Molly been getting at me. Go ahead and mess with me. I know things I ain't said
My
yet.
role in life is to keep you humble, is to keep you checked. That's what I get paid to do. All right.
Woody on doing TikTok.
Manic Mondays. This man. With Michael, always must-see TV, and still to come on this show, we've got Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence going toe-to-toe tonight, both number 1 overall picks. Which quarterback has the brighter future? That debate shortly, along with plenty of other juicy topics, so don't go anywhere. Christmas came early. Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick. Brady and Gronk returning to Foxborough, but this time as the enemy. Some news. James White will miss this one and the season for New England. The Bucs have signed Richard Sherman, and there's a chance Sherm will play. Gronk was not in practice yesterday. Antonio Brown is expected to rejoin the team today. And don't forget, he had a cup of coffee in Foxborough as well. Brady and Belichick in Foxborough as first time as opponents. No coach-quarterback duo was more successful. They won 219 games, 30 games in the postseason, 6 Super Bowls. Damian Woody, you won 2 rings with the New England Patriots. Where would Bill Belichick be without Tom Brady?
I think Bill Belichick we were still regarding him with greatness. I do. Because, I get this question asked all the time. And Tom Brady didn't walk in the league and become Tom Brady. There was a process that led to Tom Brady being who he is. Not to take away from the intangibles that Tom Brady and the things that he's held true throughout his whole career, but the culture and the way that Bill Belichick groomed Tom Brady, that helped him get to where he is at today. And I know it's popular to knock Bill Belichick down after what happened last year. Obviously, Tom went on to Tampa, won a Super Bowl in his first year, all those type of things. But just think about some of the things that Bill Belichick has done in New England. Remember when in 2008, when Tom Brady was out with the ACL for the whole year, he took Matt Castle. Matt Castle, let me remind the ladies and gentlemen out there about Matt Castle. If I'm not mistaken, Matt Castle did not start at USC. Matt Castle came into this league. Bill Belichick was able to put him at the quarterback position and win 11 games. They went 11-5. That, to me, shows you the greatness of Bill Belichick. Now, would Bill Belichick have won all the Super Bowls that we're talking about? I doubt that, because I hold Tom Brady in the highest regard ever in playing the quarterback position. But don't sleep on Bill Belichick. Don't disrespect his greatness and his coaching acumen, whether he was an assistant coach and a head coach with the New England Patriots.
On this thing, I think you and Dan should have the last word, so I'll go before Dan on this. Let's make sure we understand something here, and this is where my reporter hat comes on, because, as a columnist and a pundit for years as well, nobody's questioning the greatness of Bill Belichick.
Right.
Only a fool would do that. He doesn't need 6 Super Bowl titles as a head coach and 8 and 2 more as a coordinator, 8 total, to be considered great. When we walk around calling dudes great, they got 1 and 2. You see what I'm saying? We consider Sean Payton's great. He's got one. Okay? We consider Tony Dungy great. He got one. All right? We consider plenty of dudes that got one or two. Andy Reid has religiously been revered as a head coach in the National Football League. A Super Bowl championship escaped him until 2 years ago. All right? And he coached 20 years before he won a Super Bowl championship. So we got to understand, of course, Bill Belichick would be recognized for his greatness. But that's not the point. The point is you had greatness in the palm of your hands, and you pushed it away. Why? If a guy is clearly dissipated, he's diminished, and you push him away, that's different. That comes with the business. But when your ego's gotten away to the point where, you've won enough, that's an issue. Now, here's where it gets strange. I don't see Bill Belichick the way most people see Bill Belichick. You know why? Because the only time I ever see Bill Belichick, because you ain't going to find me in Foxborough covering their practices. I can promise you that. The reason why you see, when I see Bill Belichick? Bill Belichick shows up sometime at the Celtics games. Completely different dude. Nice, smiling, approachable, the whole bit. The Jim Browns of the world and others swear by this man.
Yeah.
Swear by this man. There's a lot of people out there who know Bill Belichick and say, he's a good man. They say that. Now, people who don't know him, because he don't want you to know him. And he doesn't mind the way that he looks, and that's a different ballgame. But then we think about things like Malcolm Butler, who led the team in snaps, and he was your elite corner, and you benched him for the Super Bowl because he got in an argument, allegedly got in an argument with some defensive coordinator or whatever, and you made that decision that basically cost them a Super Bowl because they lost 40-33 to Nick Foles and stuff. And if Malcolm Butler was out there, he might have been able to make a play or two that would have negated that level of offensive prowess from the Philadelphia Eagles. There were players, okay, that some people said that he could have treated them better, et cetera, et cetera. So that's when we talk about Bill Belichick, nobody's questioning his greatness, is my closing comment. Nobody's with any degree of intelligence, a modicum of intelligence, would question his greatness as a coach. We're just looking at him and saying, damn, you have won. You have established yourself. Do you really have to be that way if indeed he is the way that some of the reports describe? Damn.
Yeah, Bill Belichick is unquestionably the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. Without Tom Brady, he is not unquestionably the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. Now, Tom Brady has come out, and Tom Brady is unquestionably the greatest player in the NFL. And he has said that he would not be where he is or what he accomplished without Bill Belichick. So these guys will always go hand in hand. I would say this, Big Wood, because I understand where you're coming from. Like, into Stephen A's point, we're not questioning greatness. We're questioning greatest. Those are two very different things. There's been a lot of great head coaches in the NFL. And Stephen A., you would know, like Chuck Noll is considered, to my knowledge, one of the greatest head coaches in the history of the NFL. He's not that without Terry Bradshaw.
That's right.
Bill Walsh, considered one of the greatest head coaches in the NFL. He's not that without Joe Montana. Now, those players were going to be really, 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 really good players without the head coach. But the head coaches that we put into the greatest ever are there because of the quarterbacks that they had. Bill Belichick just so happens to be the greatest coach ever and one of the greatest general managers ever. And that's the one thing that we don't talk about enough when it comes to his greatness, was the fact that he took the greatest player ever and got to pay him like a great player. That's the difference between Bill and everybody else. And so while he's going to be in the conversation for greatness, Woody, that's not the topic. Would he be the greatest coach ever without Tom Brady? Unquestionably. And the answer is absolutely not.
Well, I mean, listen. If we're going to go that route, we can apply it to any coach, okay? Because at the end of the day, players make things happen on the field. The coach is not on the field. Players are on the field, But I also say, players don't become who they are by happen chance. You need an environment to cultivate that talent. So that's why to me it's hard to de-link these guys because they both need each other.
Yeah, it was a partnership. Yes or no from you? Will this even be close on Sunday night? Yes or no?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Still ahead, should Justin Fields be starting on Sunday, or does one of our guys think Matt Nagy should go in a different direction? The Bears dumpster fire discussion in a bit. Plus, They went number 1 overall, but both couldn't have been more hyped. They go head-to-head tonight. Which has the brightest future? That debate shortly. Stay tuned. It's First Take. Its first NFL start was a rough one that included the rookie quarterback being sacked 9 times. Matt Nagy received a lot of criticism for his game plan and play calls for Fields, and he's taking some responsibility for that rough outing. Take a listen.
He's going to have a lot of different games in his career, and that one was a rough one, and I put that on me. That's on me for why that went that way, and I got to learn from that, and we got to learn from that. But I think we have some answers, which is good.
Did you decide who's going to be the play caller on Sunday?
We've had some amazing, healthy conversations between coaches and coaches, between coaches and players. I'm going to keep that internal. The criticism's fair. I go back to the game. You got to move on, but you also got to accept it. That's what I'm going to do moving forward.
Stephen A., should Fields be the starter for Chicago?
No, but not because of him and his talent. I think that he's the future, and you've got to save him. You've got to save him from Nagy. You've got to save him from ineptitude. You've got to save him from deficiencies that have not been resolved as of yet. And listen, Matt Nagy told you that he's having conversations. Things are fruitful and helpful with his coaching staff and stuff like that. And I get that because things transpire during the game, during the season, and we get that. But it just get the impression listening to him that it's almost like he's playing catch up. Like the things that he's figuring out now, he should have known coming into the season. You should have known from the moment you drafted this kid. And I think that what you're seeing right now, listen, when you got an Allen Robinson, when you got a Darnell Mooney, when you got the Montgomerys of the world, and Damian Williams in the backfield, you've got enough weapons, okay? And back in the day, he had these guys, and he had Tyreek Cohen when you had Mitchell Trubisky there, and still there was inefficiency. And I think that that's problematic. But where it really, really resonates with me, the defense is legit.
Yeah.
The defense could do some things. And when they get exposed, it's usually because of fatigue. Because you got them out there, because you got a whole bunch of 3 and outs, you're not moving the chains, they're spending too much time on the field. They're not being protected in any way. The defense has been thrown out to pasture because of the inefficiency of an offense. And I've religiously said this, Dan Orlovsky, and I'm very, very big on this. What is your signature? Why do you have the job that you have? Okay? If Dan Orlovsky is breaking down tapes all the time and telling you what's going on the football field, and then all of a sudden come on ESPN and can't use the big board, can't sit up there and use the telestrator, can't break down anything, we got a damn problem.
Right.
Okay? I love the fact, listen, I've been a reporter for close to 30 years, and I've had to cover everything. And I can talk about almost everything. But damn it, basketball's my thing. It's my passion, it's my love, and it's the number one reason I'm on this network, okay? I can't forget that when it comes time to show up on television. I don't want to talk about basketball. Ask me about hockey. Ask me about NASCAR. Ask me about college football. What are you, on drugs? I can't do that because what you are and what got you to where you are matters. Matt Nagy was an offensive coordinator, and his offense is second to last in the NFL. And that's 2 years removed from being 29th. It's inexcusable, and somebody has to say so.
Justin Fields should be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears, unless Matt Nagy is going to continue to press that his scheme should be the star. That's the issue in Chicago in reality. Matt Nagy wants the offensive system to be the star. Now, there are some schemes in the NFL that are like that. San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan's scheme is the star. Plug and play. You could put quarterbacks in there, they'll play well. You could put backs in there, they'll play well. What he does is he takes talent and the scheme elevates that talent. What Matt Nagy's system is doing with Justin Fields is decreasing his talent. So just individualized player-wise, it's not a question. Justin Fields should be out there. But if Matt Nagy is not going to adjust or continue to be the play caller or the play designer, then Justin Fields should not be on the football field. And that needs to come from the top of the organization. Stephen A., you touched on something that I think is spot on. When you said it's like he's playing from behind. There's really 3 types of coaches at any level, but really football-wise. There's the coach who can go watch the game the day after it's played and go, this is what I didn't do well. This is the things that I should have done, or these are the things that I should have changed. Then there's the coach who can go in at halftime and be like, all right, what are the adjustments that we have to make per what the defense is doing to us? And then there's the coach that after a play or a drive or two, they're like, I got exactly what we got to do. And Matt Nagy is the first one. He's the coach that sits there the day after the game that watches the tape and he's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should have used his athleticism more. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should have not stressed our offensive line. And that's a problem. And that's exactly what you're pointing out is how did you not know this stuff? So if you're going to continue on that thought process of do and then look at things rather than kind of being proactive, then no, don't play Justin Fields. Don't play Justin Fields because, Molly, I kind of mentioned this early on. If you look at the young quarterbacks in the NFL that we thought had talent that got ruined, one of the main reasons they were failures is because doubt became a very real thing. That they were put into these terrible situations and they started to think, well, maybe I wasn't a top 5 pick. Or maybe I can't play. Or maybe I'm not that. Now, listen, some guys, they can't handle the NFL or they're physically not talented. But the Bears need to be very cautious right here as an organization because they invested all that money and draft capital of how they handle this situation. And that's why I think it's clear that if they are going to get to a point where it's Matt Nagy or Justin Fields, the organization has to choose Justin Fields. It has to, or Justin Fields should choose his future.
Let me say this real quickly. When you on that field, to Dan's point, when you on that field, and again, I wasn't on there, but covering the sport, I know what players tell me.
Yeah.
When you on that field, those players ain't telling you, yo, man, the coach got you in a bad spot. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, man, the coach, it's the coach's fault. They telling you, you can't play.
Right.
They telling you, you ain't ready.
Right.
They telling you, bro, you in over your head.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to demoralize you. That's what they're trying to do, to take your heart.
Break you down to build you up.
Not just play better than you.
Listen, faith without doubting, something we're all aspiring for. The highly touted rookie quarterback class is off to a slow start this season. All have started a game except for Trey Lance. Now, Mac Jones is the only one to win a game, and he did so against fellow rookie Zach Wilson. Dan, why are these rookie quarterbacks struggling so much?
Well, number one, it's really, really hard to play quarterback in the NFL. You know, there's 32 of them on the planet, and there's 10 great ones. You know, so that's the reality. If you look at Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson's interceptions, I think they've thrown 11 interceptions or 12 interceptions between the two of them. 10 of those interceptions have come on when coverage is just being real soft, Molly. What I'm trying to say is these defenses in the NFL are daring these incredibly athletic, electric, fun to watch, jaw-dropping quarterbacks. They're daring them to play boring football. They're daring them to do the non-flashy stuff. And that's why some of these guys that they grow up in this world of 7-on-7 football, and it's chuck and duck, and it's so much fun, and it's awesome. It's awesome. They're daring them to do things that guys like that I could do. I could drop 7 steps and throw a check down. That's why I was a 5th-round draft pick, because I couldn't do the things that they did. So I think that's the first thing is they are getting challenged to do boring football, and they've been trained not to do that. And it's very rare. What was the last quarterback that we saw get drafted in the top 5 have a really good rookie season? Joe Burrow was on his way. Cam Newton, maybe. Baker Mayfield had half of a season. Andrew Luck. It's hard when you're playing on bad football teams.
Let me tell you something right now. When I look at these rookie quarterbacks, I think Mac Jones is going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be just fine the second you get some plays around him. He's got to stop taking chances, but he clearly has a belief, a moxie about himself and his game, Dan, that I like. Like, I didn't like how the flea flicker went wrong. He threw it off the back foot, lobbed in an interception to Murphy for the Cardinals that was returned for a pick 6. I didn't like that. But he did some good things against Arizona. And throughout the season thus far, he's done good things in every game. You just see the mistakes that you know he's going to grow from. All right? We haven't seen much from Trey Lance as of yet. We get all of that. Justin Fields got Matt Nagy as an impediment to his success, at least at this particular moment in time. Zach Wilson for the New York Jets is an entirely different matter. Okay. He looks awful. He really, really does. He makes you say the Jets should have held on to Sam Darnold. maybe draft him and hold on to him and let him sit on a bench for a year or two.
Well, part of that's because Sam Darnold's looks so good.
Yeah, well, you can say that, but I'm just telling you, Zach Wilson looks bad, and Dan's smiling because he knows I'm telling the truth here. There's a difference between the way Zach Wilson looks and the rest of them looks. You start thinking, I don't want to cast aspersions on Zach Wilson, say he can't play. I never saw him. You understand what I'm saying? I watched a little tape on him, but I never saw him like Dan did and Mel Kiper and Todd McShay and others. No, I didn't do that. I'm not going to do that to the kid, all right? I wish him nothing but the best. What I'm saying is it also could be Robert Saleh because you're a defensive coordinator, and a lot of times defensive-minded coaches struggle putting forth a solid offensive unit because they struggle putting forward assembling the right offensive staff. I don't know the answer to that question, Dan. I don't pretend to. What I'm telling you is this. Eye test. When I see Trevor Lawrence, I'm impressed. Even when he makes mistakes, I'm still impressed because I understand it's just decisions. But that brother got the vision, goes through his progressions, could throw that football. He can make all the requisite throws. I see the athleticism in Trey Lance. I believe in Justin Fields. Look at Mac Jones. I'm happy that he's in New England with Bill Belichick and obviously Josh McDaniel. When I look at Zach Wilson, oh, my God, it's awful. He got 7 interceptions thus far. It hasn't been impressive. He's completed about 55% of his passes, all right?
Well, even though that's around the 7 interceptions.
Trevor Lawrence got 7 interceptions, complete 54% of his passes. But just some of the things he does, I haven't seen that from Zach Wilson yet. And I'm just saying, I'm concerned.
Okay.
I'm concerned.
Jags have lost 18 straight, hoping for a win tonight. Up ahead, the upstart Bengals off to a solid start. Tonight, they're in primetime. As I just mentioned, Burrow's future debated. Does someone on this show have a man crush? That's what I'm hearing.
First Take is brought to you by the Walt Disney World Resort. The 50th anniversary celebration begins October 1st.
North, while Trevor Lawrence has gotten off to a rough start with Jacksonville, but that's no surprise to Dan Orlovsky.
There's one thing that I think Joe Burrow does better, and I think he does it better than any young quarterback in the NFL right now, and I think it's the hardest thing to teach. He doesn't panic with the football. I love Trevor Lawrence. Give me Joe Burrow.
I'm thinking about Trevor Lawrence. This brother can fling that football. He's got some wheels on him. He's 6'6", not 6'3". Listen to folks talk about Trevor Lawrence and what they said about him coming out of college.
The situation.
And I'm just like, yeah, wait a minute now. I can't do that. I can't give Burrow over Lawrence.
Okay. Stephen A., who has more upside, Burrow or Lawrence?
To me, it's Lawrence. And I'm not taking anything away from Joe Burrow because he can ball. I saw this brother throw 3 interceptions against Chicago. So Dan talking about how, he doesn't panic and he doesn't panic with the football or whatever. Well, that Sunday afternoon, I wouldn't say that didn't happen. I'm sorry. That's just not how I feel. I'm sorry.
We weren't talking about that Sunday.
Listen, damn it. He said
moments of panic.
Dan Orlovsky said it going into that Sunday, and the brother went out through 3 interceptions in the game.
What did he do last week?
That's neither here. But that doesn't take anything away. I know how gifted Joe Burrow is. It's just that I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence, just some of the logistics, man. 6'6" with that arm, mobile, can move without the football. He's smart. He can make every throw. Some of these dimes he's throwing out there, I don't see Joe Burrow being able to do anything that Trevor Lawrence can't do. The problem with Trevor Lawrence right now, in my opinion, is he doesn't have a team. He's got a rookie head coach on the pro level, okay? Then they don't have that much talent, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. And so his mentality is, I want to go out there and be a hero. I'm going to take chances, and I'm going to be about making plays. So we understand that he's not going to look what's so great this year. It's going to be a rough initiation into the National Football League. But what I see from Trevor Lawrence, you put some talent around that brother. And I'm telling you right now, I truly believe he's going to be one of the great ones. It's not to say that Joe Burrow won't be, because I respect the hell out of Joe Burrow. But I think that Trevor Lawrence is as advertised, and I think he will show us.
Yeah, both these guys are great players. I mean, I would argue that there is some talent around Trevor Lawrence. I mean, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones, Robinson, those are good skill position guys. The question really is, who's got a brighter future, the Bengals or the Jags? Because if we've learned anything, and if I've hopefully brought the fans into anything over my time at ESPN, is that Quarterbacking is a dependent position. And you bring up the Jaguars kind of organizationally. There's still question marks. There's still a ton of unproven aspects. The Cincinnati Bengals win tonight. They're 3-1. The Cincinnati Bengals are 3-1. And my mind goes back to Joe Burrow taking that hit in the knee last year against the Washington football team. And almost that cringeworthy, oh my gosh, is that everything? Because that knee injury was brutal. And if you had told everybody, their head coach Zach Taylor and their offensive coordinator Brian Callen, hey man, you guys are going to be playing on Thursday night with the chance to go 3-1, you're going to take that. And a big reason why is because number 9. Stephen A., you pointed out those interceptions against Chicago, and they're valid. Those weren't moments of panic. He just didn't see a linebacker one time. One time he got hit, ball got popped up in the air. And I look how he responded the following week against the Steelers defense. That was without starters on their defensive line, no question asked. Right. But Joe Burrow was dominant. I mean, he was absolutely dominant with the football. And so the brighter, if you asked me who I think is more talented, just in a box, we're doing measurables. Trevor Lawrence is a more talented player. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, more powerful arm, more electric release. But if you're asking me who I think has got the immeasurables, the things that we can't necessarily chart when it comes to the quarterback spot, the vision, again, the ability to not poise with the football, panic with the football, the instincts, I think Joe Burrow's got that.
Are you saying Trevor Lawrence doesn't have that?
I think Joe Burrow's got more. I think Stephen A., I'm just telling you, listen, I was 2 seasons ago in college football. Trevor Lawrence was playing as good as anybody when Joe Burrow was leading LSU. Trevor Lawrence was balling out, playing unbelievable. And I said, Trevor Lawrence is playing just as good as Joe Burrow. And I felt that way. And then I was on the field for the national title game. And I walked away.
Dan,
I'm telling Stephen A.,
Dan.
This kid is different.
Come on, Dan. Listen, Clemson defense.
Wired
hold on. Clemson's defense was not what LSU's defense was that year.
I'm
That's
not debating
number 1.
that.
And remember that cat for Clemson got ejected from the game on that boat. Oh, yeah. I mean, 2 years in a row, this guy got ejected for crying out loud.
I'm not debating that.
And I don't even believe he deserved it.
What I'm saying is I've stood and watched both of them. I think they're going to be great. Yeah. But watching Joe Burrow, you just get this feeling that you're watching the next Steve Young. You just get this feeling you're watching the next guy that has those immeasurables, the ability to gravitate his teammates towards him.
Hold on. I think Steve Young is phenomenal. Yeah. Steve Young is phenomenal. He's a Hall of Famer. Has he ever been in the conversation as the greatest ever?
No.
What I'm saying to you is that as great as Steve Young is, there were just a few, that were considered better.
Yeah.
It is plausible that Joe Burrow is everything that Dan Orlovsky says, and Trevor Lawrence might be better.
I don't know how you guys have not mentioned the fact that the Jags have lost 18 straight.
Yes.
We're just going to gloss over that?
Yeah, because we don't.
1-15 last season, 0-3 this year.
That's what he's dealing with.
Come on.
I'm somewhat sensitive to talking about teams that go on long losing streaks, so I try not to bring it up too much.
Yeah.
That's my point.
I support those teams. I just want you to know that.
Who's got the brighter future?
I ride with them.
I mean, the Bengals got a chance to be 3-1 tonight. I did not think that was going to be a reality once I saw that knee injury last year.
They probably will be. They're favored by 7.5. We'll talk to Tim Tebow about his former coach tomorrow's show.
Yeah,
so that'll be good. It's good the Jags are on tonight, and then we have Tim tomorrow.
Whatever.
Still ahead on First Take. Surprise, surprise. Can I ever win on the show? Which team would Dan say has exceeded all expectations through the first 3 weeks? Not who you expect. Keep it locked.